Welcome back to Etc. Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Love, my co-host, Mark. How you doing, sir, on this fine good. Tuesday afternoon? Even though it's nighttime.
Doing great. How are you doing?
Love to hear it. I'm doing fantastic as always. Can't complain.
I love it.
Yeah, bro. I got some things. Unless you got some things you want to talk about? You could talk.
Sure.
You could talk to me.
I'll
talk to
you. I'll talk to you. So
I'm
this
all
past
ears.
weekend. I mean, it wasn't this past weekend because like these are, yeah, y'all know the deal. But yeah, I went to a new church, man, and it's been great. You know, I love it. Yes, praise the Lord. No, I just like I really love it. Being closer to God. Being close to our friend Manny. Some of y'all know. I know you know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, man, great man. But no, it's just been great, going there this Sunday, on my birthday, and it's just cool, good people there, and going to start helping them out a little bit with stuff. So yeah, it's just been good and loving it. So this whole new thing has just been a blessing. So yeah, just want to talk about that. The Block Church people over there, they cool. But yeah, that's really about it. And I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
Tell me what you been wanting to let me know.
Yeah. Shout out to Block Church. I told you before they filmed my tank up before.
They did?
Yeah, I never told you that.
No.
So, remember we used to all get our haircut at Quinn's uncle shop, and then those guys.
You mean like on Gerard, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they went and opened up their own shop on the other way.
Okay, so kinship.
Yes. So I went over there. I got my hair cut there one day. This was a long time ago. I got my hair cut. I think this was when I was at Temple. So I went to get my cut and I left and I was like, damn, I need a tank. So I went to the Sunoco right there and there was just all these people lined up. I'm like, what the fuck going on? I'm just trying to get the gas filled up. I got to run back to class. So I pull up and there's one girl, she come up to me. She's like, is it cool if I fill up your tank? And I'm like, why? Like, I'm like,
because they put it in it.
Yeah, like I'm in the middle of North Philly. Like, why are you trying to fill up my? Like, I'm about to get jumped right now. Like, what's up? And she's like, nah. Like, I just want to fill up your tank today. I'm like, all right, like, go ahead.
Go ahead. If this is what I mean, as long as y'all not doing anything and just filling it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
she had this little Sunoco car. She tapped it, filled my tank up. She was like, yeah. She's like, we're just doing this because we're trying to get people to come to the Block Church. So you ever been? I'm like, yeah. I had my own church and stuff. Like I used to go to and stuff. She's like, oh, you should stop by. And then she gave me the whole thing. But she filled my tank up and I dipped. So that's how I got introduced to the Block Church because they filled my gas up.
That's awesome. Shout out to them.
I don't know if they still do that.
Church. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they definitely have like their little things here and there where they would probably do. If anything, I'll probably be introduced to some of that stuff a bit sooner. But yeah, awesome. I love to hear that, man. That's great, man. Awesome.
Yeah. But in other news, now that we covered our weekly, not weekly, but our intro, our spiritual.
Yeah.
Have you heard this whole situation with well, first off, do you remember / know who Matt Rife is? White dude, Wildin' Out, the new Wildin' Out.
Yeah.
Him?
Mm-hmm.
I know you like recently have rejoined us on TikTok, but in the past like year and a half, he has been huge on TikTok.
Wow.
Just because of his stand-up. He'll post clips of his stand-up all the time. And he's a funny comedian, I'll give it to him. He's very like quick-witted and like snappy and
like dry? Like
no, he's very like clever and mostly like most TikTok comedians now, or at least not, I don't want to say TikTok comedians, but comedians that have become big on TikTok, their biggest pull is crowd work, where they'll just be like, oh, like anybody here in college, and then they just do that shit, and like people love it. Like people go to shows, I guess, to fill their own egos up, where they'll go to shows and hope that they get called on for that type of thing. But there's so many comedians that do that now, and now they come to shows and they look for it, or they like personally like just call out, hoping that they get that interaction and end up on TikTok. Gotcha. Which is annoying to a lot of the creators, but a lot of them have built their careers off it. Yeah. There's some that like one guy in particular, his name's Stavi, he's like Greek, so his last name is hard to pronounce. But he does a lot of, he's like a chubbier guy. Okay. He's like, not bald, but he has this part missing. He has like a mustache, chunky guy. Stavros is like his real name. But that was one of the main guys where he like really took off of that.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's just like this whole thing that's happening on TikTok. Only thing that I was trying to mention with that is that a lot of those guys, it seems like they do well with that, and in terms of their own written jokes, they suck. Which
So that's
kinda
what I was gonna mention because I'm like, that's like again, like you said, their thing now. So like, of course, like they're probably just people who are really good with just talking with people. You know what I mean? As far as like actually just kind of telling a story and kind of like throwing the jokes in there, it's more so like, hey, like when I'm you like kind of I feel like how it is if you were somebody who was really like a class clown, I feel like you really thrive in that kind of environment because again, like that's what you know how to do. If somebody talks to you about something, you hear about something or whatever, you just know how to bounce off of just like instant interactions rather than like coming up with a whole like skit or whatever, you know.
planned out material. But Matt Rife is one of those people who's taken off in the past year and a half or so off of that mainly.
Okay.
But I will say he does have some stuff that's written that I'll say is good. It was just my little tangent on crowd work right now because I see a lot of it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he grew up a following. He's been killing it. He's mainly grown a following, at least in most cases, I would say, is like people our age and mainly women. Reason being, and something that he's like complained about before, is that it's mainly because they find him attractive and they go to his shows and they're like be thirsty over him. But he genuinely wants to be like a full out comedian. So this makes
it's kind of funny to think about though.
He's like, yo, like stop thinking I'm hot. Just think that I'm funny.
Low key, that's kind of crazy because usually be the other way around.
Yeah,
it's like, yo, you're just either like kind of butt ugly, but you're
funny which makes you hot.
Exactly.
But he's hot, and then
like Pete Davidson.
Some people think Davidson, yeah.
Pete Davidson, you know, like
exactly. But everybody has their own thing. There's like unconventionally hot, and then there's hot. It's this whole thing. There's a spectrum of things.
It's cool.
So yeah, that's like something he has had issues with to the point that he's gotten so big that he just had a Netflix special come out. Awesome. I don't know if you knew about this.
I didn't know, but that's awesome.
This is where it leads up to what I was just going on for about 7 minutes just now.
Gotcha.
His audience is mainly people our age and mainly women. He went out on his Netflix special and he said, yo, like, as much as I love my fans, I want to be known and respected as an actual comedian. So my jokes are going to be that way. I'm not going to cater to you guys. So he went out and he did this joke. I don't know it verbatim, so I'm going to give you the gist of it and essentially what got him in trouble. He went out. Yeah. He went out and he said, I might be able to find the joke in a second, so I'll play it for you. But along the lines of, he went to a restaurant and he said that the waitress had like a black eye. And there was some other stuff in between it, but the punchline was that if she were good at being a waitress, like being good as a cook, then maybe she wouldn't have a black eye. And essentially just being misogynistic and saying like, oh, she should be a good cook in the kitchen and her husband wouldn't have beat her if she knew how to cook. Like I said, his audience is mainly women our age, Gen Z women. So it just got him really, really fucked up. And now he's like, trying to not backtrack on it, he's trying to stand on it and be like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. But he's fucking up his bag because like he didn't know. I guess not that he didn't know, he didn't care of what his audience was.
I feel like he knew. It just I guess he didn't think the effects would be so crazy.
Yeah,
I guess, you know what I mean. Like, yeah, something
but
like that to happen.
Not saying in the actual case of domestic violence, it's not funny.
No, yeah.
But the point of comedy is to make fun of any and all situations, no matter who it is, gender, race, religion, you know, ability.
I think of it like this, and I feel like we talked about like comedians and just this day and age altogether so much about just like, if you're a comedian and if you're somebody who likes that comedian and you are going to their show, you should already know going into that, they're going to say stuff that you probably won't really agree with, you probably don't know about, or just in general, you probably just crack up about it because it just sounds funny. But altogether, like the whole point of it is to make people laugh. Like,
yeah.
You might not laugh at that hard of it. You probably chuckled. The person next to you is dying. And it's just, that's how it is. Like, again, just everybody has a different sense of humor. Some people just have different jokes. You just got to learn to be like, okay, cool. You know, like whatever. Like, that's just how it is. Like, this is a comedian, you know, I'm not going to church and hearing the priest,
the pastor like,
going and saying all this stuff, because it's like, at that point, like, why are you saying this?
Yeah, like,
this isn't a place for it. I'm going to a comedy club, or I'm going to this place to hear a comedian make jokes. That's what it is. You know, like, of course, like, I guess some things could be, I guess, taken as a little too literal, you know, but I don't know.
So I just think it's, again, like we said, like to your point, you're absolutely correct. I'm just curious to see what the after effect of it will be, because a lot of his shows were women going to see him. Will he still sell comedy clubs because of it, or will his like demographic shift to people that like that type of comedy? Like,
maybe this
what will
was
be the
his full-on plan.
I don't know about that. I don't think he expected it to be this bad.
Okay,
Because like people were just straight up dragging him, and like before everybody's like, yo, like we love Matt Rife. Like everybody should be like Matt Rife as a comedian. Now this has come out and they're like, oh, at least he's not Matt Rife, or like just basically completely switching sides on him.
crazy.
So it'll be interesting to see. But again, it's also about knowing your audience, because that's not the worst joke that's ever been written. There have been way worse jokes. But if you have your audience that knows you're joking, or are able to take those kind of jokes, or separate when somebody's not being serious or not. Because clearly, I mean, I don't know Matt Rife, but I highly, highly, highly doubt that he truly believes what he said in that joke.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get what he was going for. Like I just don't, like, I don't believe that at all. You know what I'm saying? But I get the joke that he was saying.
Yeah.
Those are two different things, and you really just got to understand that. And some people don't.
Don't condone domestic violence.
Exactly.
Don't condone all that stuff. Obviously, if there's people who genuinely have been through that stuff, so it may be a little traumatic to hear those things, I feel for you. I have completely sympathy. But the one thing is I dislike, especially with comedy shows, is when you're so eager to laugh at other people's jokes about other people's pain, and when it comes to something that maybe hit home, you're like, oh, that's terrible. I feel like you're worse than the person telling the joke in that sense, because you're just nitpicking.
Yeah, and what I think about it like this, because you just said comedy, like comedians in general, but I'm thinking it more so like just comedy in general, because I thought about this, I think this morning or I don't know when, but last night when I was getting a haircut, my barber put on, I feel like I mentioned this to you before, don't know if you've ever seen it, 8 Crazy Nights. It's the animation with Adam Sandler. It's around this time.
Oh, you mentioned this to me. Yeah.
You have to watch it. It is by far one of the funniest things I've ever seen. If you want to talk about like how we be saying how some movies be drawn, they don't make stuff like that anymore, I promise you that is one of those, because I can't believe that thing like ever got made. But it's so funny. But I was just thinking about it because the old man that's in that movie really just has like, he's really this like very, very loving, nice person, right? But Adam Sandler in the movie is just such an asshole. Like, he's so asshole, and he's such an asshole to him. And I just think about how people would probably laugh at it, right? It's a movie. People will laugh at it. And I'm just thinking like, that's so crazy to think that people like us will sit there and laugh at somebody just getting like shitted on. You know what I mean? Like, they'll laugh at that, but it's like they don't realize that like if that was to happen to them, or if they were to like, I don't know, to me that's just weird how you would be so quick to laugh at something like that. And again, that just kind of goes with like the whole idea of like the comedy thing, you know, like, oh, like they're getting so butthurt about that stuff, but it's like, bro, that's the whole point of comedy, you know,
to make light of a lot of these things.
Yeah, and I just think like that's just how I see it in a sense, you know, like don't go and be so quick to go and turn around and be like, oh, that's so messed up, all this, all that, when like, again, beforehand you even went in there, you knew like this person is a comedian, like, and this is also a comedy show. Like, what do you expect to see?
Have you ever been to a show where somebody walked out or anything like that? Because I have.
I don't think I have, but when I went to go see Trevor Noah, I think somebody like that we were next to or around was like, just like, oh, I can't believe that he said that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And I was just like, bro, like,
you saw, like, why do those people go to those shows?
Exactly. Like, I genuinely am just like, why did you get a ticket?
Only exception I'll say is if somebody was like, yo, like, come with me, please.
Come with me. Yeah, I see what you mean. But then again, I wouldn't invite somebody that I know can't take
Also
that.
true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so weird. That's like taking like, I don't know. I can't think of something, but it's just like, why? Like, I would bring somebody who I know has at least a similar taste of humor as me, or at least knows what humor is like. To be honest, when I think about it a lot of times, bro, I really don't think a lot of people have the same humor. Like, they don't understand the same humor as like me and you, or Quentin too. Like, there's just a lot of dark humor. There's a lot of dry humor. Like, people say like they can't watch The Office, right? And I'm like, how? They're like, oh, it's just too boring. I'm like, but are you really watching and understanding how the show works, how it is? Because that show is hilarious. But
some people just don't. Some people need very like direct humor.
Yeah,
it's like some people don't. And I'm not trying to talk down or up on talk up on us or talk down on anybody else. But,
I understand. Yeah,
but it's just like some people don't like or appreciate or understand like subtlety in certain things, where like they don't have to be openly like, oh, like say a punchline
This
loud
is
as
the
shit. Like
punchline,
this is
right?
the punchline.
Yeah, you know.
Sometimes for some people, like I guess more so us, like we can see like in a scene, it could be dead silent, but somebody glances at somebody else a certain way, and that'll be the whole joke intentionally, and that'll be the funniest thing because it's like you either relate to it really well, which is the whole point of The Office, is like relating to some of the things you see or just realizing how absurd a lot of the shit is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just some people need that in your face, like this is the joke, guys, haha. And then there's another part.
Like I'm pretty sure when we like if me and you were to watch like Tropic Thunder, right? Tropic Thunder, and then like somebody else that like hasn't seen it watches it, some like and they're not that much into humor, they'll sit in there probably laugh like maybe like 2-3 times watching it, you know. Meanwhile, we're there dying at probably every scene because like there's something funny to it. It's not
even if it's a little thing, like something you notice, yeah.
And just like why aren't you laughing? And I think it also comes from me again. Like I understand some people were just brought up a bit different. They were introduced to a lot of like comedy stuff a little bit like later in life. But for me, like, again, like, I think it all started from when I started watching stuff like Family Guy. Yeah. Like, that just kind of introduced me to a lot of just, like, out-of-pocket comedy, just dry comedy, like, and I'll just sit there laughing at it. Meanwhile, some other person will look at it and just be like, I mean, it's not that funny. And I'm sitting there like, what? Yeah. Like, girl, everything I see on that show is hilarious to me, but...
Or even further back when you think about like SpongeBob, like I know we talk about SpongeBob a lot.
Oh my God, yeah.
But like that catered a lot of like our humor.
Exactly.
Whether it be like the awkward shit or like the still frames or just like the absurdity of like how a guy fell off a bike but there's an explosion.
Exactly.
Like and that's not, SpongeBob isn't like subtle or anything. Like that's very like, this is the punchline comedy. Yeah. But it's still appreciated both ways.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, of course there's some things in there that's just like, like, I guess if you were a kid, you would really laugh at it. As you get older, it might change. Like that was funny back then, you know. But there's still moments in that show where you're just like, bro, no matter how old I get, I can't believe they did this. Like it's so funny. Like it's just like crazy. But yeah, I don't know, you know. So hopefully, you know, he can get back on his feet, you know.
Yeah. I mean, people pick and choose when to react. Because like I said, like there's like the Dave Chappelle's of the world. And Dave Chappelle's at a point in his career now where he's more like social commentary, more than like Chappelle show type shit where he's like, gotcha, bitch. Like he's not doing that anymore. Like he's very much like all of his stuff are like stories with a lesson and like a subtle joke in there.
Yeah.
That's where he's at now. But like there are other comedians where like they'll just really just go out there purely with the intention to piss you off. Yeah. And like not to one of a comedian that like Quinn follows a lot, or like he at least talks to me about a lot, is like Ari Schaefer, where like his thing, I feel like he's very shock comedy, which Quinn might disagree because he listens to him a lot more than I do. But like I remember when around the time that Kobe died, like the next day he was in a comedy club making a joke about the helicopter death, and he got in trouble for that because it's like, dude, like a little too soon. Then again, it's like, who am I or who is anybody to say when something is too soon? Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, especially for somebody like that was so beloved, you might want to wait a month.
That was, I'm not gonna lie, like I understand that now. You see, like there's those things like that, you know, but like, come on, I don't know.
Yeah, like not Kobe.
Exactly, like you know, I don't know. Maybe if it was somebody who had like a lot of bad, I guess, ish going on in their life that everybody knew about, you know, like, oh, this person was kind of a bad person. So like, who cares? You know, some people kind of liked them, some people didn't, you know? So at that point, yeah. But I feel like for someone like Kobe, like, what do you got to
wait
really
a second?
hate on,
yeah.
You know, like he's such a great person.
Because even I get it. Like something me and Quinn, like we'll talk about or bond about too, is like the fact, like with what you just said, when we talk about stuff, it's like, yo, like people don't have that same like ability to appreciate dark comedy. Like they take shit too serious where it's just like, damn, like that's out of pocket. But like it's funny because it's so out of pocket. That's what makes it great.
Saying. That's
Another great example of like subtle comedy, sometimes Key and Peele. And some people don't appreciate that as much.
They don't.
But back to what I was trying to say with Ari Schaefer is like his whole thing is, you know, saying shit that's out of pocket. So I lost my original train of thought with the Key and Peele thing. It bombarded me. But yeah, the point I'm just trying to make is that people don't like that shit with dark comedy. Is like, it's there for a reason. And it's funny for a reason.
Yeah. Dark comedy is very like, it's a very weird place. But like, if you know about certain stuff, and you obviously like can take a hit with those things, like regardless if you've been through it or whatever. Like, I guess it also just comes for how comfortable you are with around those things, you know, too. Like, I don't know, because some people like they can have stuff that happened to them that's surrounded around that joke, and they be fine with it because they're like, okay, they came to terms with it, like they get it, like they obviously like they're fine with it. But there's some people who obviously just can't, and at that point, that's where you got to realize, like, okay, like either you don't want to listen to that comedian anymore, or you just can't take jokes in general.
Yeah.
You know, you're just that type of person.
I found my joke.
I came back.
I forget his first name, but his this is a podcast called Bad Friends with Bobby and Santino is the guys' names. Santino, and then Bobby has I don't know if it's his girlfriend's like nephew or niece. I forget what their relationship is.
Okay.
But they were talking about Christmas or something. She's like, "Oh, what do you want?" And I don't know what the full context was, but she was like, "Friends, friends, friends, friends." And Santino was like, "Oh, you already have one friend. That's like 4 more. You would have 6." And then Bobby goes, "Oh, like Friends, the show Friends. Like there were 6 of them, so you'd be like the show Friends." And Santino goes like, "Well, 5 now." And and it was funny, but like it's still out of pocket.
yeah.
so everybody was like, "Oh, damn!" But it's like he was like, "I'm sorry," like it was right there.
Exactly. Yeah. Sure.
But there's been enough
it's
time.
Obvious, you know, it's obvious for something like that. Like, I honestly,
You laughed.
I laughed, and to be completely honest, I think I would have made the same joke just because I understand it. Like, there's no way you're gonna throw a layup like that, and I just don't take it. Like, I'll be kind of not the right person to not do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's kind of funny, man.
Yeah. But I did have an instance where I did see somebody walk out. I think I've talked about it before. Where
I think you did. Yeah.
I went with Quinn to see Chris Stefano, and it wasn't even something that was worth leaving over. Like he didn't really say anything out of pocket.
It was a guy or a girl?
A woman, yeah. They were there. His jokes were like funny, and he was making fun of everybody. He has a Puerto Rican girlfriend, and they have kids together, and he's making fun of Hispanics, black people, white people, whatever it may be. But a lot of the times he'll like subtly put in, he's like, "Oh, like, sorry, like that's just my white guilt. You know, I got to throw out there that like my kids are like mixed race or whatever." And he kept saying stuff about white guilt. Like he would, it was not the whole point, but he'd be like, throw it in there. And the white lady got up. She's like, "I can't do it." He's like, "He keeps talking about white guilt. Like this is so disgusting. Like I'm so tired of hearing about it. You know, it's just all in your face." And she just stormed out, and all her friends was like, "Yo, you good? Like, what are you so mad about?"
Was she young or older?
I would say she was probably like in her early to mid 30s.
Wow.
Yeah. So
just not a lot of diversity, I guess, going on there.
I mean, his demographic is not people of color, we'll be honest. Like, I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's a lot of white people like his stuff. Same thing with like the guy that me and Quinn went to see, Shane Gillis. Like, mostly white guys listen to him, even though to me, out of he's the funniest, hands down. Like, not even like, oh, he's really good at this type of, like, he's really good at crowd work or good at skit. Like, he's just
all around
everything. Like, he acts funny. He has funny ass skits. He has good written comedy. All of it. He's a beast.
That's awesome.
But his demographic is mostly like white people, like and frat guys type shit. Even though I believe he'd be funny to everybody. Quinn was peeing himself when we went. Like the whole section was dead silent. We were in tears the whole time.
I can hear his giggle.
And mind you, we were in Hershey, PA. It was white as fuck in there.
Yeah.
Very white. But the point I wanted to make with the girl storming out was, I feel like a lot of times, I mean, I guess in her case, she fell under this demographic or whatever it may be. I'm forgetting the right word. But a lot of time when people do get offended, it's not even like the right person to be offended about it. You know what I mean? I saw some skit, or I don't know if it was from a skit or from a show or something the other day, where this white lady was ordering from a taco truck and the guy taking the order was white. And she was like, "Oh, like, are you Mexican?" And he's like, "No." He was like, "Did you live in Mexico?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Were you raised by Mexicans?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not eating from here because you're not Mexican. It's not a real taco if you're a Mexican. It's not making my taco."
Okay. And the lady was what?
White. That's where I'm getting all this from. And she's like, "Oh, like that's just like that. Just I don't agree with that." And he was like, "Oh, well, like I'm just the person that works the register. Like I forget the person's name in the skit, but he was like Pablo makes all the tacos." So she was like, oh, like the white guy's making, you're probably paying him pennies an hour to make these tacos and you're making all the profit off of it.
I'm working register. If anything, if I was making profit, I wouldn't be working at all.
Well, it was a food truck. So it was like sometimes the owners work the food trucks. But anyway, so she's like, yeah. And then she starts like trying to talk to Pablo in the back. And he's like, oh, like Pablo, you don't have to work here. Like it's not right. He's taking advantage of you. And he was like, the guy at the register, like, Pablo doesn't speak English. And then Pablo turns around and it's a Filipino guy. It's an Asian guy. So she was like, it's just the whole point was like, yo, this white lady's getting mad that a Mexican's not making her taco. And there's a white guy and an Asian guy in the back making their taco. And it's like, what are you mad about? Like,
Yo,
and then what makes it even better, I forgot to add this part. So she's going on this rant, and there's a Mexican guy ordering food, like he was already ordered but waiting for his food. And he tells her, he's like, yo, like I'm Mexican, I don't have a problem with their tacos because they're good tacos. And she's like, I don't need you speaking for the entire Mexican race, sir. And it's a Mexican guy saying this, and this is white lady like snapping for no reason.
What?
It's a skit. But this really happens. Yeah. Especially like on the internet in comment sections, it's like, oh, like that's fucked up. Like, why would you say it's like, yo, you're not even in the position to be offended about this. Yeah. And then there are people who fall under it. They're like, yo, that's fucking hilarious.
Exactly.
What are you mad about?
That's just the fact that like the boy when he turns around, it's a whole Filipino.
And he starts speaking like like he doesn't even speak English in the skit. Like they purposely do that.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
It's so good though. But that just annoys me because there's so many people that will do that where it's you're offended for them and then the whole time they're welcoming it. There's another great example. I don't know if you were about to say something. I don't want to cut you off.
I was just going to say just the idea of like, it's just crazy because again, someone who is white, right, has a problem with so much of all that, Meanwhile, you're the person going there trying to eat a type of food that isn't even from your culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you have the trying to have the right to like be like, yo, like, this is how I want it to be made when it's just like, bro, like,
I'm trying to be the taco task force.
Like, I'm confused. Like, what? As long as it's good, I mean, like, that's it. Nobody has claim over any food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
There's another example of this where this was not a skit. This was a real situation that I saw. It was on Instagram, and there was a family in Mexico, and they were dressed in like Mexico, typical Mexico like clothing and stuff like that. They were like, I don't know if it was for like a festival or something, or they were just having a dinner. And it was a Mexican mom, or not Asian mom, and she had like 3 kids. And like the husband, I think the husband was Mexican, but all the other kids, well, the wife and mom was Asian, and then their kids were mixed, but they looked more Asian than anything. Gotcha. To be fair, like looking at them in the face, like they look more Asian than they do Mexican. Mm-hmm. And they were speaking fluent Spanish, asking for like Mexican foods and like eating the foods that she had cooked, and they were enjoying it. They were just listening to the music, speaking Spanish, and it was beautiful. Comments, all these people pissed off. It was like, oh, like this isn't, why are you wearing this stuff? You aren't Mexican, da-da-da. And they're not even Mexican people commenting these things. Mm-hmm. And there's other Hispanic people like, yo, like this is beautiful. Like you guys are maintaining the culture. Like we welcome you with open arms. So it's like, I just hate that idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like again, like you're not even in that position, like, to be trying to talk
offended.
About, yeah. Like, like why are you going to commenting or saying anything when this isn't your culture, like, if you don't like it, then that's when another thing comes where it's just keep scrolling or whatever. Like, it's just so weird.
They got to go to more shows. They got to build that up. They ain't work on it properly.
Tolerance, whatever they got to do. I don't know. You just got to
train the funny bone.
Exactly, because clearly it ain't there. Yeah.
Comedy. So, what can you do?
I love it.
I love going to comedy shows, honestly. There was another show thing that came up. It's not the same. It's not like a comedy show, but I find it interesting. I think the tickets dropped for it today. I'm gonna send it to you if you're down to go. I don't know when it's for exactly. I just know they said that the tickets dropped today. Gotcha. I don't know if you've seen it before. I may have showed you, or like you may be seeing it on your own. There's this one show on TikTok called Updating. But essentially all it is like I'm so mad that I didn't think of this myself and do this myself because it's taken off so well and it's genius. They basically host dating shows in person and shit, and like they filmed it and put it up on TikTok. So they'll have like a comedy club or whatever it may be, and I guess I don't know how they do it, but maybe beforehand they have a list of people, and if you get called up, you go. But they'll just sit one person, each 2 people from the crowd upstage. They ask them some questions, then they'll do the actual dating show right there, and they film and they post it on TikTok, and it's funny sometimes. Sometimes they do follow-ups. Sometimes they show like certain storylines, and then the comment section is like, yo, I'm rooting for these two, and like it's this whole thing, and it's funny.
Yeah.
So they're coming to Philly soon. And I've seen my old boss, he was on there too, which is funny. Yeah, I'm gonna show you after this. So that's another cool thing, like show that I feel like is interesting. I like going to shows. I've been to a couple just in this past year, and I'm like, it's fun. But you got to go with the right people.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind going to some. I just feel like I haven't seen any. I mean, I haven't obviously like took the time to really look and search, but like before, sometimes I would look on like I guess it might have been on TikTok, or maybe I just seen clips on like Instagram, and at the end of like the skit or whatever that they had like posted, like they'll show like, okay, like tour date, wrong. Of course,
they'll show like I'm going to your city.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I saw those, but I feel like right now I'm not seeing any. But again, I'm not taking the time to look out for it. So if I do, I'm probably pretty sure I can find something.
You gotta like and like follow that content so you continue to see it. Yeah. But good stuff. So yeah, laugh a little more, guys. That's all really all you really need in life. To comment what you said on earlier, though, I'm the same exact way, and it's honestly, it circles back to what you were saying about not people not having the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
And me not knowing to stop making jokes about everything. Because even though I'll be dead serious about something, I'll always be playful about it.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't get that.
They don't.
Which I understand. You don't know me as well as maybe you would, or family or close friends that I've known for a long time. But this is just more so with new people that I speak to.
Yeah.
Where it's like, my answer would be dead serious. But if I don't add a little bit of sarcasm or funny to it, then it's not me.
That's true.
I got to be a smart ass.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. If not, where's the fun in that? So that's something that I've dealt with in the past couple months or so that I'm trying to figure out. It's like, you got to either I meet a person that's like, they on it like since day one. It's like, yo, I fuck with you. Or I got to like work my way up to it. I can't just hit them with it full force day one.
What's crazy is that talking about the boy again from like TikTok, what's his
name?
RIFE? No. From when we were just laughing about it. I was showing you about him.
Tony Stadododode.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his last name.
It's just funny because you got people like that too, right? Where I had this thought in my head. I'm just like, yo, I can't even imagine being friends with him. You know what I mean? Like everything is most likely a joke.
Yeah.
And I would be dying every time if I was a friend. Like to have that person as your friend, bro. Oh man, I would love it. Like
that's the thing too, is like we say, like, it's not like we have this rare sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're not around the people that have it similar. Because if you go on the internet, there's a lot of people that also find him funny.
Exactly.
So they would also have similar humor as us.
Exactly.
So it's just a matter of like who you're around.
So funny, man.
But like, it's funny too because he'll do videos with other content creators
people.
too.
Yeah.
And they're just funny as fuck together. So it's like, it just bounces off. He was on a cooking show, this one bull, and it was just...
I saw one where he was like, it was a little clip he did with Shaq. He was like waiting in line for pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And Shaq was like, oh, you got me? He was like, bro, he had his hand on his shoulder. He's like, man, if you don't get your 4-time championship hand off me. And then next thing you know, it cuts and he's just like, all right, how much for all his pizza? It's just like basically he gave into it.
Yeah.
I was just cracking up. I'm like, yo. Yeah, man. Humor, bro. It's like one of the best things. I can't believe some people don't like it.
You know what it is though? I wish I would have the urge to make those type of videos. Because I have those ideas, but I can't just get myself to sit down and, even though we make this and shoot like the gaming videos, I can't find myself to be like, Troy, you were supposed to like beat D1.
In
like
your
I
room
can't get like,
top of your lungs.
And you can hear everything in my house, bro. Like I can't get across. I can't make one video with my family. Yo, the fuck is you doing?
Like I want to know the conversation that you probably have to have. Like not you specifically.
Yeah, but like
I don't know
guys,
if
I'm gonna film.
Yeah, because I don't know if he lives on his own.
He probably does now. He probably got.
If he does,
money,
yeah. But if he didn't, like again, where you had to start to get to that point, it's
exactly.
just like you were literally just like, yo, guys, like I'm gonna be screaming for a little bit. Don't worry, I'm okay. It's all for a reason.
I'd imagine he probably waits till like everybody dips or something like.
Probably, bro. But
that's what I would do because he gotta really lean into the characters.
Like, it's so funny.
He just being there like fake crying and shit. It's like, yo, you good, Tony? Like,
oh man, bro, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna hop up out of here. Laugh a little bit more, guys. Enjoy your holiday. If this, I think this will be a week before Christmas when this comes out, something like that, or maybe 2 weeks before, whatever. Y'all be safe in your holiday, whatever y'all celebrate, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. Yeah, we love you guys. We appreciate all the love. And hopefully you guys find us funny too.
Yep.
Catch you guys next week.
See you.
Bye.